To order at 6:31 on Monday, November 14th, 2022, at the East Midwood Jewish Center, 1625 Ocean Avenue, Brooklyn. The purpose of this hearing is to hear public testimony with respect. Let's try that. The purpose of this meeting is to hear public testimony. For New York City's fiscal year 2024 capital and expense budget. The board's proposed priorities are reflected in Community Board 14's district needs statement. Copies for review are available at the sign-in table and on the board website. If you'd like to comment on the board's priorities, you should register for time with Tisha Olander, who's at the by the door. Please state clearly for the record your name and organization, if applicable, prior to giving testimony. Your turn. There are no pre-registered speakers for tonight. Your turn. Yeah. Okay. District Manager Sean Campbell will take it from here.
Good evening, everybody. The budget priorities they've been posted on the website. They are the same priorities that we discussed at the Budget Committee meeting last month. They've been slightly reordered due to feedback from the board and members of the public who attended that hearing. And then they've been numbered, and then in parentheses after the item, it's the number of the priority as it will be seen by the agency. So you'll see that even something that might be 10th on this list is still number 1 for that agency. That's sort of how we handled my discomfort with the Department of City Planning, making us prioritize items against vying for attention with one another when what's important to one aspect of the community or what's important in one agency is the most important thing in that agency. So what was changed? We have put funding to ensure that the Flatbush African Burial Ground will be constructed as a memorial, and that with maximized public input is high on this priority list because it's an urgent, time-sensitive, and important need. We also, with some input and feedback from board members, moved the Newkirk Plaza priority up on the list, and we did a tricky thing where we made it number 1 on the capital side and number 1 on the expense side in case it's not a capital project. Sorry, number 2 in both of those budgets. We did maintain a request for OMB to provide a baseline increase to community boards as number 1, and that is something that many community boards across the city have done. We added into that a request for language access funding to help us expand our language access in the community, which is something we're supposed to be doing, we certainly want to be doing, but have received precious little support, financial or administrative, from the city. So, I mean, I know board members have reviewed this, members of the public, hopefully you've had a chance to check it out on the website. If there is any feedback, questions, or testimony to move anything around, this would be the chance to do that. Otherwise, this is going to be submitted to the city first thing tomorrow morning because the deadline was October 31st. We got a little bit of a break because they knew that the timing of the end of the budget consultations with city agencies in September, and then our very, very early, you might recall, very early October meeting just didn't give us time to have the public hearing on these items until now. So city planning knows that it's coming late, and but it will go tomorrow first thing, I promised them.
Thank you, District Manager Sean Campbell. Is there any discussion amongst board members regarding the fiscal year 2024 capital and expense budget? draft? I see a hand. No?
We're all so excited to be together.
Seeing no discussion, do I have a motion to adopt the draft as it is? Seconded? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any member opposed? Any member wishing to abstain? One abstention. Yvette. Any member not eligible to vote? Okay. Thank you, everyone. The motion passes, and this public, yes, sir.
Just asking Sean, could you just refresh our memory again as to the next step and, you know, the other groups and individuals who this has to pass before it actually takes place?
Yeah, so this will now go to OMB, to Office of Management and Budget, and to the Department of City Planning. These budget requests are tied into our district needs statement, which is really the document that I'll send into DCP tomorrow. Then OMB takes each item and sends it off to every agency, the pertinent agencies, and then we will get the agency responses to our budget requests, which you might recall don't tend to be extremely fortifying. And then we'll have to respond to that in a way that is professional. And we will have a hearing on those responses, and that will be in March-ish when we get the responses. And then we do it's called a letter of comment that also will go through a public process. And then if all goes well, the FY24 budget will be passed and we'll get everything we ask for.
Mr. Ed Powell.
Is the absence of renovation of Oma Park because of funding has been identified already?
There's a mention of Uma Park in there still. I think that the wording is something like, we're gratified to see that it has received some funding. We hope that it is adequate. And now we need the hotspot tot lot to get the same kind of capital love, and then we will have touched every playground in the district, just in time to start all over again.
All right.
Item 8, Ed.
Any other comments? All right, this public hearing is closed at 6:39 p.m. Thank you, everyone. We will be starting the CB14 general meeting promptly at 7 o'clock. Yeah, tea. How did you make this work? You
Oh, 2010. Everybody got quiet all of a sudden. That's it, huh? To check on it.
I noticed there's not a link. Is it because you're in person tonight? I'm like, I just wrote.
Good thing they don't have to find parking.
Very smart. How astute.
See, my computer says 7, but my phone says 6:59. Here we go. All right. You ready?
I got 7 now.
Good evening, everyone. This meeting of Brooklyn Community Board 14 is called to order on Monday, November 14th, 2022 at 7 p.m. under the applicable statutes of New York State, the Charter of New York City, and the board's bylaws and Robert's Rules of Order. The board's policy is to encourage detailed public discussion of matters before the board at our committee meetings and at public hearings. Consequently, except by board members, there will be no public discussion at our regularly monthly meeting of matters of which a public hearing or committee meeting has been held. Specific service delivery requests or complaints should be brought to the attention of the district's office staff by contacting the board office directly or by visiting our website at any time. Contact information is on the back of the table along with other useful information. Other matters of civic interest may be brought before the board during our scheduled public comment period, which will begin tonight after all other business on the board's monthly meeting agenda has been concluded. No partisan political appeals or advertising of for-profit enterprises will be heard. Persons wishing to speak during the public comment period may sign up with Patricia Olender at the back of the room. For future reference, you may also call the board ahead of time to pre-register. The secretary will call the roll, and since we're meeting in person, it would be nice if, when you acknowledge that you're here, if you just give a little wave so everybody can see who people are. Thanks.
I'm Joe Dweck, by the way. Wakil Ahmed, Gregory Alvarez,
Joe, let me give you the mic.
it's okay. Hindi Bendel, Darlene Bowers. Hi, Darlene. Joanne Brown, yes. Michelle Brunson. Edward Sen. Carmen Bell. Carl Henry Caesar. Present. Florencia Chang Ajeda. I've been mispronouncing her. I'm sorry for it. Yvette Claire Jean. Stephen Cohen. Yes, Stephen, no?
No.
Elizabeth Dennis.
Present, it's Denny's.
Dennis, I'm sorry.
No worries.
Denny's? Got it. Joseph Dweck is me. Yehuda Eckstein. Here in the back. Sophia Francis.
Present.
Musa Hassoun? Here. Mordecai Husarski? Yes, Mordecai? No? Manzoor Hussain? Dwayne Joseph? Here. Good to see you. Shahid Khan? Yes, sir. Naomi Lipnick? Here. Donald Loggins? Here. Walter McQueen? Here. Melissa Mitnick? Ephraim Nierenberg? Boris Noble? Eric Ost? Here. Zvi Plotzker? Here. Mehdi, I'm sorry, Pilpari Harris? No, Mehdi? Ed Powell? Here. God bless you. Martin Prasant? Here. Mohammed Razvi? Bazar Ruhi? Nina Sabir? Talisha Sunville? Here. Moshe Schoenfeld? Michael Cedillo? Joel Siegel? Here. Gail Elsmith?
Present, good to see everyone.
God bless you. Abraham Treff? Present. Gotcha. Deborah Valentin? Corazon Valiente? Present. Dawn Marie Walker? Here. There you are. Glenn Wallen, where are you, Glenn? I didn't see you. All right, we have a quorum, Mrs. Chairwoman.
Thank you very much. I just want to introduce the dais since we don't have name tags out tonight. Gail L. Smith, First Vice Chair. Joe Dweck, Third Vice Chair. District Manager Sean Campbell. Carl Henry Cesar, Member at Large. Shahid Khan, Member at Large.
Who are you?
Oh, hi, and I'm Joanne Brown, Chair. Moving the agenda forward regarding the minutes, board members received the minutes by email. There are also some copies at the back table. Are there any changes to the minutes from board members?
I'll note for the record that Zvi Plotzker's name is not in the attendance on the minutes, but he was there, and that will be corrected in the record.
Okay.
Of course, sorry about that.
Any additional changes? Do I have a motion to adopt the minutes with the changes to the name of Steve? First and seconded. All those in favor, aye? Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining to vote? And no one should be ineligible to vote. The motion passes and the minutes are approved of the October meeting. Moving on to the district manager's report.
Thank you. I've got a bit of a list tonight, so buckle up. I first of all want to note that many of you know that Anya Hoyer has left the staff to explore other opportunities, and I know that you all share with me in gratitude for her over a decade of service with the board. There are big shoes to fill, and we are seeking a full-time community coordinator. The job posting is on our website as of this afternoon, so please take a look and send it along and let people know that it's as you know, that it's an excellent, excellent community to work for, and it's a fun office. Not that bad. We also, I want to thank Patricia Olander, who's been great in the pivot, taking on a whole lot extra and worked almost single-handedly to hand out 500 lawn and leaf bags that were provided by DSNY. I should let you all know that we're out. We distributed all of them, and I don't know that we can get any more. We were told not. So the special leaf collection is this coming Sunday, and then on December 4th. So if we get more bags, we'll post it up on our website. Otherwise, thanks everybody who came to pick some up and doing your part to make sure that those leaves aren't going into landfills and are being composted instead, which reminds me to add that if you have a private landscaper, your landscaper is supposed to be taking leaves and lawn debris and everything with them, because at the point that they manage that for you, it becomes commercial garbage. If they don't take it, sanitation sometimes picks it up because they don't know that it was left behind by your landscaper. And then that does a couple of things. A, it puts leaves into landfill. Two, it makes that leaf collection really expensive because you paid for the landscaper. Now you're paying for public service, and then they can't finish their route sometimes. So then you're getting collected on night shift, which is a more expensive shift. So, you know, get your money's worth and save everybody else's money by making sure that they're taking it. It's just come up a lot these last couple weeks. I want to note that I provided testimony regarding language access, since I mentioned it in the budget request a little bit earlier this evening. We also testified, a colleague of mine and I, at the Moya City Council hearing in order to advocate for more city support on language access, both for interpretation and translation. And we hope that there's I think 10 bills pending in City Council right now that have to do with language access. So if this is something that's important to you, you might want to reach out to your City Council members, and you can always call the office if you want those intro numbers. I've got them handy on my desk. Also, thank you for the support on the budget priorities. As I said, the district needs statement will be provided to Department of City Planning, and it's just so interesting, the changes in this community. Some of them are really encouraging, like finally getting all of our parks funded, and then some are really worrisome. Our affordable housing ratio is down. We've added more housing, we've added more affordable housing, but the percentage of affordable housing at 30% of AMI went from 4.9 to 3.9, and at 80% of AMI, it went from 70 to 57%. So that just shows you how much market rate housing's been added in the district. We will be exploring those issues as well as many others with our Fund for the City of New York funded planning fellows. That wasn't smooth, but I'm really excited that we were awarded 4, I think we're down to 3 because one of them got poached for another big project at Borough Hall. But we've got a planning fellow named Morgan Ruther who's going to be working on zoning text amendments and looking at the upcoming zoning text amendments and sort of mapping where and how they would impact this district if passed. It's a little bit nebulous right now, but I think it's going to shape up to be a really interesting project. Then we have William Cooch, who's going to be working on what I was just talking about, our affordable housing stock in the community, what we have, where we have it, and how it's changed. I think that'll help this board advocate for affordable housing as applications move through the board. And then we have Lucy Philpott, who's going to be working on my favorite subject, Newkirk Plaza. And she's going to work as an archivist to go back in time and document everything that this board has been trying to do regarding that plaza for the past 25-ish years. And then, you know, help us make the case that we've made before, but I think will really help substantiate a case to bring that plaza into under the purview of a city agency. So stay tuned. Those planning fellows will be at upcoming committee meetings. Their reports will be ready in the spring, and they'll be presenting them to public meetings. And I'm really excited about it. They're really smart and eager young people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, District Manager Sean Campbell. I just want to acknowledge the representatives of some elected officials that we have here. For Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, we have Ellie Slavin. Thank you for being here. We have the 70th Precinct Community Council President, Edward Powell. Thank you for being here. For Comptroller Brad Lander, we have Pincus Hyken. Thank you for being here. And lastly, I'd like to acknowledge from the 70th Precinct, Community Affairs Police Officer Michael Joseph. Thank you for being here. Is she here? Mm-hmm. Oh. And just looking to, we also have Farrah Lewis with us tonight. Councilmember Lewis, would you like to address this assembly? We have a mic over here for you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
Happy
evening.
to see everybody in person. Doesn't it feel good to be in person? All right. I know some of you are like, whatever. All right. Good evening, Chairperson Brown, Sean Campbell, our district manager, and to the entire board. Councilmember Lewis, very happy to be with you all. I have my staffer here with me, Daniel Heredia from the office, who you'll hear from later, but I just wanted to give like some quick updates on things that are happening and where we are right now in the city. Before all that, just want to say Happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans in the district. We passed a really big package in the city council called Support Our Survivors Package. We did that last month. It was a package of bills that I spearheaded with Councilmember Caban from Queens, supporting survivors of domestic violence, where we're able to support them with housing initiatives and just making sure that, you know, we dismantle the bureaucratic systems within our agencies within the city of New York. I could email you guys about that part, but just wanted to let you know what we were working on for October. But for November, we are pushing the pay equity package, and that is to be voted on next week in the city council. The goal there is to make sure that we're making pay more equitable for New Yorkers, especially our municipal workers. I have a bill in the package called Intro 541. I'll email you about that. So just wanted to update you about that, just in case you see it in the press, so that you're fully aware of what we're working on in the council regarding legislative matters. In addition to that, I don't know if any of you know any residents at 1111 Ocean Avenue, but I joined a protest about 2 weeks ago due to the landlord not providing due diligence to the residents in the building. So we'll be working with Attorney General Tish James on this, making sure that we push our DA to fast track a case against the landlord. So you'll be hearing more about that. We just want to make sure that the residents get the repairs needed for their apartments. We have a lot of seniors in that building who have ceilings that collapsed on them. Some of the apartments in that building as well, the landlord kind of boarded them into the apartment. So it's a lot of things happening on Ocean Avenue. Just wanted to make you aware, because I know the Brooklyn Reader did a story on our participation in that protest, but the next steps for us is to make sure that the DA is doing his due diligence there. So just wanted to let you all know about that. I definitely want to thank District Manager Sean Campbell for just staying on top of the bike lane proposal by the DOT. I have a district that's divided about bike lanes. You probably see that in the press all the time. They say, oh, she hates bike lanes. It's not that I hate bike lanes. In Community Board 17, I have a lot of homeowners. They hate bike lanes. They hate open streets. There's nothing I could do about that, right? They're homeowners. They paid for their home. They pay their taxes. Community Board 17, they love bike lanes. We want bike lanes all day. So just so you all are aware, there are some publications that have been interviewing some folks from the community about what's happening from Grand Army Plaza going all the way up to our district. So I'm going to continue to push the conversation so that we're all aware of what's about to happen. I don't control the process, but I can give you a voice so that you can speak about what needs to happen during that process. So just letting you know that I will be emailing constituents about this to make sure that you're also participating in meetings that they're having. Participatory budgeting, we got the largest response from Community Board 14 members in our participatory budgeting. So now the projects are moving forward. Agencies now have to respond to us, let us know which projects of those that you all submitted will be accepted for the ballot for participatory budgeting. So I just wanted to make you all aware of that. And I want to thank the board for pushing that forward. PB is not dead, it's alive. And I believe it's a way for you all to make sure that you're participating in how we spend your money, your tax-paying dollars. And last but not least, redistricting. That process is over. I lost a large portion of my district to Council Districts 46 and 42, which is particularly the Remsen Village area. But I do want to thank Councilmember Yeager. I thought I would see him tonight. I wanted to publicly thank him for supporting me in the process. The first map put us both in the same district, which would have forced us to run against each other. And the second map, we were able to work together to make sure that we continue to represent our districts. So that process is over. There's a map online that you can see. It doesn't really give you the confines of the streets, but it is something that I want you all to think about because our new lines as of January 1st will be the official lines for Council District 45, the same thing for 40 and all the other districts. So thank you again. Hope you all have a good Thanksgiving, and God bless.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Lewis. Moving on to the chair's report. Regarding those who have served in the armed forces, with gratitude for your service to America on Veterans Day and always. Regarding the recommendation from the board with the city's capital expense budget for fiscal year 2024. There was a public hearing held just prior to this meeting on Monday, November 14th at 6:30 p.m. The purpose of this hearing was to hear public testimony with respect to Community Board 14's recommendations for New York City's fiscal year 2024 capital and expense budgets. The board proposed priorities were reflected in Community Board 14's district needs statement. The recommendation for board members in attendance of that public hearing was to approve Community Board 14's the fiscal year 2024 capital expense budget. Will there be any discussion regarding amongst board members regarding this public hearing? Any questions? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adopt the recommendation and adopt the fiscal year 2024 capital and expense budget? Seconded, thank you. We'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Is anyone opposed? Is anyone wish to abstain? Is anyone ineligible to vote? Seeing none, the fiscal year 2024 capital and expense budget passes unanimously. Thank you very much. I will now give several borough board reports because there was 3 meetings since the last time I reported to you. Regarding the October 6th borough board meeting. At the September Borough Board meeting, the vote on Coney Island lease extension for the deposition of city-owned property located at 1502 Surf Avenue in the Borough of Brooklyn, consisting of amusement uses, was tabled. During the October 6th meeting, the matter was reintroduced. The New York City Economic Development Corporation re-presented the proposal. Based on the outcomes of CB14's general meeting vote, to approve the contract and public testimony at the Borough Board meeting, the Borough Board voted to approve the disposition of the Thunderbolt property pursuant to Section 384B4 of the New York City Charter to Central Amusement International until 2037. That concludes the report for the October 6th meeting. On October 19th, the Borough Board had a special meeting. This meeting was convened to adopt a procedure and resolution of how hybrid meetings will be conducted, how quorum and voting will proceed with a mix of virtual and in-person members in attendance. I motion to modify the procedures to allow members to self-attest the need to attend virtually. That motion was adopted. Further modification to the procedures were tabled until the November 1st meeting. This was a very short meeting. Moving on to the November 1st Borough Board meeting. Discussion from the October 19th special meeting continued regarding the adoption of video conferencing procedures. The Borough Board voted to adopt the modified procedures and resolution as is. The procedures will continue to be modified as needed. Next, we received a presentation from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation regarding air quality monitoring program. 10 disadvantaged communities were selected to air quality monitoring using criteria developed by the state's Climate Justice Working Group. The results of the monitoring will drive solutions to reduce greenhouse gases and other harmful air pollutants to protect public health. Several draft sites in Brooklyn were identified as having air pollution burden indicators, including proximity to diesel trucks and buses and overall vehicle density. Unfortunately, Flatbush and East Flatbush were not named as part of the draft Brooklyn communities that will receive air quality surveillance despite being host to state and local through truck routes. I requested that Community District 14 be considered as part of the modified draft of sites. Lastly, the board received a presentation from Regional Plan Association, RPA. RPA was commissioned to gather data to inform the borough president's comprehensive plan, which connects public health measures, the determinants of health, and land use. I look forward to seeing the full data set when available so that it may inform our own district's initiatives. That concludes my report. Are there any questions from the floor? Go ahead.
So I have a few, Chairwoman Brown. So can folks hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So the first question is from the Borough Board meeting regarding Thunderbolt. So does this mean that a third party has been given the green light to manage the Thunderbolt roller coaster at Luna Park basically for the next 15 years?
So let me repeat the question for our live feed. The question was whether or not the Thunderbolt, right, will be managed by a third party. Yes. So the way that it works is there is a contract with what is it called again? Central Amusement International, and they operate a majority of the space. The Thunderbolt property was added later when the contract was after it was first developed. So in the process of adding the Thunderbolt, they also were renewing the contract with CIA to extend it. That was a city council measure that they were able to go ahead and extend it to 2037. But also in the process of changing the contract, they were giving relief to all of the boardwalk storefronts, which is going to help them recover from COVID-19 pandemic when they were closed, and roll back some of the increases that they saw in 2019 prior to the pandemic. And the second question.
Sure. So thank you very much for that, Chairwoman Brown. And then the second question was regarding the adoption of modified hybrid rules. And so my question is I guess forthcoming guidance coming from the Brooklyn Borough Office, and they've yet to determine when that guidance will come out, or is it basically we can keep operating as we have been so far for this year?
So we, based on the open meeting law and meeting with our law committee, we can adopt our own methods, which is what Borough Hall was doing. And through the process of working with the members of the Borough Board, we tweaked some of those procedures. So we can act autonomously in making our own rules using the New York State open meeting law as a source. Okay?
And that will be the subject of the executive committee?
And that will be the subject of the executive committee meeting, which is the end of November 26th?
29.
Okay. On Tuesday, November 29th, the executive committee will meet, and this is on the agenda.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any additional questions? Oh, okay. Florencia, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairperson. In regards to the air quality monitoring, how can we find out which communities are sites?
So the question was, how can we find out, regarding the air quality monitoring, how can we find out which sites were chosen? Forgive me, some of the screenshots that I took during the presentation didn't include the sites in Brooklyn. They are very much focused on East New York, Brownsville, areas that have a lot of density and also have economic disparity. But I can get those specific sites for the board. And
We just want to know, is this the same initiative, language access program, which is already under the Community Engagement Commission?
So this isn't a language access. So the question was if this was a language access initiative. The initiative that I was talking about is the borough president has created a comprehensive plan for the borough of Brooklyn, and he is connecting land use with public health. And the study that was presented to us was a range of data, including asthma rates, all manner of health disparities, including housing and other things, just so there's a baseline that we know what the borough looks like and how they can proceed forward with the program. Okay. And I see a hand in the back. I just want to put into the record that the person in the back is asking about parking changes on their block. If you would contact the board office, this sounds like a service delivery request. The board office will be happy to help you and to clarify what's happening there. Okay.
This isn't the time for this at the meeting, though, so we'll talk to you after.
Thank you very much. You have a question? Yeah.
I was going to ask a question about the regional plan association, but I think your previous answer had kind of answered. I just wanted to clarify if the public land use is just going over what the environmental impacts are happening to certain neighborhoods. Is that what they're doing?
So the question was, how does the RPA data relate to how the initiative is going to move forward? And whether environmental impacts affect other neighborhoods more than others. So the data was collected to create a better picture of what the borough looks like so that they can take that data and apply land use more effectively. So it's not just environmental, but the scope is much broader than that. Okay. Alrighty, thank you everyone for you had a question? Yeah, it hasn't been official. So the question was if there's somewhere that constituents and board members can see the comprehensive plan. To my knowledge yet, it hasn't been released. It's still being developed. We've had a few, introductory presentations, so I'm sure as soon as it's done, they will come to community boards and present it. Okay. I just wanted to recognize that representative from the borough president's office is here. Eileen Maloney Newman, thank you for being here.
And if I could just answer that, I will bring it back to the office to see when that data will be released. And I'm sure knowing our office, it will be on our website. So I will definitely communicate with the board on that. We'll hopefully have answers.
And just to repeat that, the borough president's representative will go back to the office and get us a firm date for when we can see that. And she assures us it will be on their website. I want to recognize a representative from the Brooklyn DA's office, Eric Gonzalez. The representative is Judith Destin. Thank you for being here. All right, and that concludes my report. And we're going to move on to topical committees. To my co-chairs giving presentations, please come up to the mic on my side here. The first report will be from Transportation. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Chair Brown. Ed Sen, co-chair of the Transportation Committee with Stephen Cohen, who couldn't be here tonight. We had a meeting on November 2nd with Tanvi Pandya, the executive director of BQE and NYC Design Build at DOT, presenting on the proposed BQE repairs and traffic detours, which will be consisting of 3 weekend closures between March and October of next year. Dates will still be determined. Much of the presentation was on the background of the repairs to the cantilevers, and there lacked specific community district details. With regards to the Linden Boulevard detour that came up originally with Assemblymember Bobby Carroll, a DOT presented, and DOT will evaluate the public request of utilizing McDonald Avenue as an alternative detour route instead of 5th Street. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that report, Chair Sun, Co-Chair Sun. Moving on to Youth Services, Education, and Libraries.
So Chairwoman Brown, as a co-chair, I can give that here. Okay. Can folks hear me? Okay, I'll not project too much. So good evening, folks. So yes, very high level. We had a meeting on Thursday, October 25th. And so we had representatives from the Brooklyn Public Library, from several of the branches. And so the presentation was a mix of historical and also letting us know about the capital projects that had been completed and then those that had been delayed due to COVID. And they were hoping that at some point, you know, soon, fingers crossed, that funding would be released to have those projects pick up again. And then there were also some entities from, there was an office from the New York City Department of Education that dealt with children towards the later end of the special education process, like kids who are, you know, either towards the end of their high schools, and about what that process looks like for transitioning to life outside of high school. And then there was another organization that wished to introduce itself, and unfortunately we ran out of time. And so the guidance that we gave them was to reach out to our office so that during one of our later education committee meetings that we could schedule some more time for them to present what they have to offer to the community and other like-minded groups. So that's the summary for youth education and libraries.
Thank you very much, Co-Chair Cesar. Moving on to Community, Environment, Cultural Affairs, and Economic Development.
I thought maybe you had choreographed something.
First off, it's good to see everybody in person again. I think the last time we met, I had like a full head of hair. I'm trying to grow the afro back out, so bear with me. I was a little bit shorter, but I was still just as sexy. Getting down to business though, I wanted to just take a moment to acknowledge my former co-chair, Donald Loggins. Donald, I see you there in the back. Donald, you know, has been with the board for a very long time and was instrumental in a lot of work that was done in the community, especially the dog park up in the parade ground. So if you just take a moment to acknowledge him and applaud him for his work and his service. You know, when I got onto the board, a lot of the older members, you know, took the time to teach me about the community. I had a few conversations with Donald over the years to learn about what community environment did and how it impacted our community. You know, as you all know, we don't have a lot of green space, and Donald was a big advocate for that and helped us get a lot of things done. So I just wanted to acknowledge his work.
Here, here.
That said, the Community Environment Committee did not meet in the last month, but we do have a meeting scheduled for this Thursday, November 17th at 6:30 p.m. It will be via WebEx, so I encourage you all to log in for that. In addition to that, the agenda has been changed slightly. We were inviting the Prospect Park Alliance to come out and present on that evening. However, that shifted. We're going to still ask them to come back at some point, but we're encouraging everyone to attend their public meeting for the Lakeshore Restoration Kickoff. That is scheduled for Monday, November 21st from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Left Rack Lake House, which is the small skating rink and amusement center at the southeast end of the park. You do have to go online to register. I believe that information is on the board website. If it's not, it'll be put on the board website. So you do have to RSVP, so I encourage you all to RSVP for that.
Can I chime in a little bit on that? So this is actually, they're getting public input for the design phase of the reconstruction, which I think I saw the map. It covers about 2/3 of the perimeter of the lake. And so without the public input, they're basically going to make decisions in a vacuum as to accessibility decisions and design decisions, sidewalks, benching, etc. So we would encourage everybody, you know, who uses the park and has opinions about how that all should play out to attend the meeting, because the more voice we have, the better the odds are that things will break in our, you know, benefit. Right. That didn't come out right. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Have a good rest of the evening.
So at our meeting, I'm going to chime in one more time. Just you can't let them hog it. You know,
Just use the mic.
So on
Use the
Thursday-
mic.
I just did that for effect. Our meeting on Thursday has 2 agenda items. The first is the Department of Environmental Protection is presenting on rainfall ready and cloudburst management programs. Flooding has been a significant issue for the neighborhoods at the north of the district. And frustratingly, different agencies have been sort of declaring that it's the other agency's responsibility for the problem. The fellow who was showing, named Mario Bruno, and Sean very carefully told me that if you do speak with him or address him, it's Mario, not Mario. So we have to curry favor with this guy, especially because he is one of the most forthright agency reps I have seen come to any of the meetings to which I've attended. It's like totally refreshing. He said, yeah, we're just not going to be able to do that. You know, if he says something, you can really believe him, and you don't always get that feeling from, you know, government officials, you know, we're here to help. So I highly recommend that if you have any, you know, real questions you want to ask, and you're looking for real answers, not candy-coated, this would be the fellow to whom to ask. And then the second agenda item is National Grid and New York State Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, known as CLCPA. We're getting a presentation. I heard a brief summary from this fellow at one of the last meetings. He sounds very on the ball. And what's interesting is I think he has to address for us the ramifications to residents of what rate changes there may be as NatGrid is obliged to meet these targets, you know, for climate change and preventing climate change, actually. So it's our opportunity to ask questions. You know, the reality is, yeah, if you're going to reduce by 2035, is that like the target date or something? By a certain percentage of, you know, CO2 output, what is that going to counterbalance into our increased, you know, utility bills? So I just wanted to throw that out there, just because he's so heat.
They did have an act together right there. Thank you very much. I fully endorse an act after being locked up for 2 years behind WebEx. Thank you very much to Co-Chair Prasant and Joseph. And let me please also echo how grateful we are to Donald Loggins and his leadership on this committee. Your institutional knowledge is, you know, it's just so invaluable, and I'm really grateful that you've allowed, you know, some younger folks to take some leadership position at this point. Thank you very much. Moving on to community safety.
Getting your steps in place.
I just realized I took the long way. I would like to make a suggestion that we can get 2 mics, one on that side and one on this side. Okay.
Roger that.
That being said, we did not have a meeting for October. And I want to say I do have a new co-chair, Abe Treff, who was the former co-chair, is now been switched with Mrs. Hindi Bendel.
Florencia, before you go on, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Hindi's not here tonight, and it's because her sister had her first baby. So Hindi is a new aunt, and she texted me a little while ago, "It's a girl."
Oh, congratulations. Yay. Okay, girl power. All righty. So we will be having our meeting in November, this month, on the 22nd via WebEx. So, we'll be seeing each other, not in person. We'll be having the FDNY Fire Prevention and Safety presentation, and also NYPD State of the Precinct Report by Deputy Inspector Bruce Separano, as well as other business. So please, tune in. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that report. Next report will be from Housing and Land Use.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Greg Alvarez, co-chair along with Talisha Saintville of the Housing and Land Use Committee. I'm just here to announce that we do have a meeting this month coming up. We don't exactly know the dates, sort of.
December 1st?
Maybe not.
We're working it out.
We are. The topics as well are TBD, but we think at least one will deal with the affordability question that District Manager Sean Campbell mentioned earlier, and maybe another speaker as well. But stay tuned, keep an eye out for the agenda, and we'll have more to say then. You want to say something, at least?
No, I was only here for moral support as well.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Seemed effective.
I'm just loving this team action tonight. Everybody coming up in teams. Next report will be from Human Services, please.
All right.
Another team.
Took the memo.
We have a microphone height discrepancy.
Where's the new term? Okay. You want me to take it away? Okay. So we had a meeting on, first of all, I'd like to say it's really nice to be in person for a change. It felt good to get out of the house and off the screen and see everybody. So we had a meeting with a number of very, very interesting and exciting presentations, and that meeting was on November 7th. So we had one of the presentations, get me if I'm wrong, because my scribbling is like crazy, was from Berenice Kernozan, am I saying her name right? Kernozan. And she was talking about the Healthy Start program and doula support. As many of you are aware, there has been a lot of discussion about disparities of income, racial, and other in Brooklyn in particular, but nationwide for women having babies. And so there's been a real spearheading here in Brooklyn by Jemani Williams to provide funds and to make a lot of improvements. So she spoke anyway about the By My Side program, which provides doulas for women who are expecting, and really the family, for childbearing families, and provides a doula who's there with the woman in labor. And they have quite a few other tie-ins for birthing families. This is all using city and federal funding. A lot of it is done with family foundations, Caribbean Women's Health, and they provide childbirth education and a lot of other services. And these are basically free to any woman who's in our area to make use of. So if you know anybody who's expecting a baby, let them know that there are these kinds of services and resources available to them. And I believe that that information is on our, it's on the website, yes? Is it?
I'll check, Nina, we can post it if it isn't.
Okay, it definitely should be. We heard from Rebecca Herman, who's a licensed clinical social worker from the Flatbush Recovery and Wellness Center. And this is a certified community health service through, Catholic Health Services. But it's, of course, non-sectarian, so people should not hesitate to seek them out. They are providing a whole variety of mental health services, and they actually work with everything from children, I believe age 5, is that? I have it here somewhere, on up, to address mental health needs. This is not, educational needs, special ed, or things along those lines, although they may, but it's specifically mental health needs. And they work with people who are in recovery from addictions, and they have a variety also of services there. They have nurses, they have social workers and counselors, and they help with people needing, medications, methadone and so forth, and they have a pharmacy there. So they provide all kinds of mobile crisis. I'm losing my notes, sorry. The pharmacy, they're tied in with medical services as well. So if you know anybody who is struggling, they should not struggle alone. I think we can't emphasize enough how much we need to help people to reach out for mental health services that need it, and you can refer them to Catholic Health Services as a resource. And then the last pardon?
There was a third person.
There was, right, the third person was Kudrow.
I don't remember the person's name.
Yes. So the third presenter that we had was Dr. Kurt Kudrow, who very modestly did not mention that he is the medical director at Kingsbrook Hospital. He's also an endocrinologist, but he spoke about the diabetes care program that they have at Kingsbrook. And this is a service that has diabetes counselors, they have nurses, they have peer counselors, and telehealth as well to help people to manage their diabetes, or even prevent, for people who are like pre-diabetic. And so this is a whole service that's available at Kingsbrook Hospital, and so we just want to share that information. So. Okay, anything you want to add?
Just Kingsbrook is over by Eastern Parkway, right?
Yeah, so Kingsbrook actually has 2 locations. The main hospital is on, I'm trying to think how to explain this, Schenectady, off of between Winthrop and Rutland Road. It's like sort of the tail end of Crown Heights. I think it's sometimes called Maplewood.
It's Wingate.
Essentially, Crown Heights.
Wingate.
Or Wingate, I don't know, these little neighborhoods. But the facility that's primarily being used is the Pierre Toussaint Clinic, which is on Eastern Parkway in Utica. It's really easy to get there by subway. It's actually probably the fastest subway ride generally that I ever do, even though it's 3 trains. It's, but that's the main facility where they're located, where they're having the meetings, the sessions, and the counseling. So.
Just also the Catholic Charities Mental Health Services facility is in the shopping center off of Avenue H in Flatbush, where the TD Bank is, and the UPS store there. It's in that
Good.
Thank you very much for that report. This concludes the reports from topical committees. Moving on to our ad hoc committee, the Community Board 14 Flatbush African Burial Ground Task Force. Teams.
Hey, haven't seen you guys in a while. So the Flatbush African Burial Ground Committee Task Force for CB14, just to give you a bit of background, there was an original task force that was not a CB14 task force that was put together by the city to talk about the use of the discovered African burial ground, which is at the intersection of Church Avenue and Bedford Avenue. It is right at the border of our district. That task force at the time was discussing what to do about the possibility of housing on the space. Through some great advocacy from community organizations and our local elected officials at the time, the decision was made not to build housing on that space. One of the challenges that came out of those discussions was that people felt there wasn't enough community input or opportunity for community input. So to that end, CB14, during one of our board meetings, made the decision to form a task force with the primary purpose of the task force being to foster community engagement amongst all of the parties involved to ensure that all members of the community had an opportunity to give their voice. The task force, we had our first task force meeting, I believe it was in September, if memory serves me correctly. I'm sorry, my memory's not the best right now. And during that meeting, it was just a discussion of, what our role was going to be, how we were going to get engaged, and how we were going to engage, and who would be in the task force, and what the process would look like moving forward. One of the biggest questions that came up at the time was ownership of the space. At the time, and right now, it is still managed by HPD. Our meeting on the 20th of October was with HPD, the Parks Department, and it was co-hosted by our local council member, Rita Joseph. During that meeting, what we learned was that there is an opportunity that is going to have the space transfer ownership from HPD to the New York City Parks Department. That is supposed to happen, according to the Parks Department, if everything goes well, that will happen by the end of the year. That transfer will result in a 4-year process that will begin with design scoping and RFPs, RFAs, depending on what it is, going out to the public to discuss what the design will look like. Then there'll be an opportunity for an RFP for actual contract work, so bringing in the developers. From there, it's funding, and then if funding goes well, we'll have construction and ideally ribbon cutting, and all this happens in pretty much annual. So spring of 2023 will be the design phase, or the RFA phase for the design. Then spring of 2024 will be bringing in a developer. Spring of 2025 will be funding and actual construction if we get funded. And then spring of 2026, if everything goes well, we will have some semblance of what the end project will be. There'll be a ribbon cutting, and we all will be invited to it. Again, the primary purpose of the discussion on the 20th was what the process would look like, where the community would have opportunity to engage. We got commitments from the Mayor's Office of Community Affairs and the Parks Department and the City Council member that they would ensure that they would co-host meetings, that we as CB14 task force members could attend and the public can attend to make sure their input about the space is being heard. I encourage you all, the entire meeting is online on our YouTube page. I would encourage you all to go back and check it out. I encourage you all to go back and check out our YouTube page for all of our meetings, no matter what they are. But if you have any additional questions, I'm happy to answer as many as I can in the back, and after our meeting's done here, and if anybody else wants to engage, please let us know. It's important that we have a voice in this, and we make sure that all the relevant parties, descendant communities, everybody has an opportunity to give input. That was the biggest takeaway from the city's task force, and as CB14 members, we want to make sure that our community, the members of our community, have a voice in this process as much as possible and get a chance to express that. All right, cool, all right. Oh wait, there's a hand up I saw. Oh, can we allow for questions?
Oh, we can take 1 or 2 questions, yeah.
Just tell me your name, sorry. Hey, Samantha. And you can tell me if I'm wrong here, Sean, in the process. So that community, I'm sorry, I keep walking away from microphones. I'm not my understanding was that discussion that happened between Parks and HPD happened as a result of the elected officials at the time asking for a shift to the most appropriate agency for the project. The community board, I wouldn't say we were directly involved in those discussions. We were made aware of it just because we had community interest. So we were made aware when the discussions happened and what the decision was. But as far as making the decision, that's not a board responsibility. Our job as a board is to act as, a point of information for the community and advocating in spaces where we can. In that particular case, that decision was made through the elected officials' offices. I know that once Councilmember Joseph was elected, her primary goal was to try and get it somewhere where we can actually get work done, and where it would have the most impact. So the hope is that will be the Parks Department. So they're going to be taking over I believe it's a $4 million budget right now. And again, we're just hoping that the transition happens well, but as far as like the discussion where we were in that process, we were being informed like the public was, as it went along. We didn't have a seat at that particular table. Am I
No,
wrong
you're
on
right.
that or correct?
That's
in that?
right. You're correct.
So, that's where it was in the process. As far as how members of the community can get engaged with the task force, you can contact the board office and sign up to be part of the task force so that when information about meetings happens or goes out or gets disseminated, there's an opportunity for you guys to sign up and participate and give public comment. One of the big things is, I don't think enough people have signed up for our mailing list. So sign up for our mailing list. That's where all the information gets dispersed. Like we send information out regularly, our newsletter, just general meeting information, and there's always an opportunity there for the public to sign up to make comment during the public comment period. All right, you're welcome. I hope I answered that correctly. If I did.
Yes, you're 100% correct. And I just want to remind members of the public and board members, even if you're not on the task force, you can attend all of the meetings and you can give input at all of the meetings. Okay.
Make sure you're in the know.
All right. Thank you very much for that report. Thank you. Before we move into the public comment period, I just want to thank Wayne Rosenfeld and the East Midwood Jewish Center for their hospitality tonight. This has been our first in-person meeting in, gosh, 29 months. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to move into our public session. This brings us to our public comment period. Board members are expected to remain for the public comment period. Speakers can sign up for time with Patricia Olander at the back table of the room. Matters of civic interest and announcements of public events are invited. No partisan political appeals or advertising for profit enterprises are permitted. Each speaker will be permitted to speak for up to 3 minutes and may not receive additional time from another speaker. Speakers are directed to address the assembly from the front of the room. Please use our microphone so it could be recorded and live streamed. At the conclusion of the 3-minute period, each speaker must return to his or her seat, or their seat. The board has an obligation to conduct its business in an orderly manner. Any person preventing the meeting from continuing may be asked to leave. The intent of the public comment period is to permit the board and the community a chance to hear diverse perspectives on public issues. Accordingly, we ask that groups be represented by a single speaker. It is now 8:04, and the first speaker will be Ellie Slavin, representing Congresswoman Yvette Clarke's office, and the speaker after that will be Henry Morgan from New York City Service.
Good evening. Sorry about that. Okay, my name is Ellie Slavin. I'm community liaison for Congresswoman Yvette Clarke. She sends her greetings. I've taken notes of what we were speaking here tonight. I just want to mention, Sean mentioned about the AMI, the Area Median Income, which is a holdback on affordable housing. So I want you to know that the Congresswoman has a very deep interest in this, and we have people on staff who are trying to put together a task force to address this problem. I'll give it to you later on. One is Orlando Ross in our office and Stephen Blackner in the DC office. I'll be in touch with you as far as their contact numbers. Also, we are at 222 Lenox Road. We deal with federal issues, veterans, housing, Section 8, immigration, and passports. We're open for business. We're open from 9:30 to 6:30. Anybody in the crowd here or know somebody who has any issues, please, you're welcome to come to our office. Good night.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Henry Morgan from New York City Services, and following will be Antonia Bramble from the Brooklyn Public Library.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Henry Morgan. I work for New York City Service. We are the Division of the Mayor's Office in charge of promoting volunteerism and civic engagement throughout New York City. I just came here to discuss a few of our, to discuss a few of our funding opportunities for nonprofits and community-based organizations. First, we have civic impact funding, for which we give out $10,000 in funding to 20 different organizations every year. To be eligible, you just have to be a registered 501c3 or have a fiscal sponsor. We are mainly targeting organizations that operate in neighborhoods outlined by the Task Force on Racial Inclusion and Equity, several of which are within Community Board 14. We anticipate opening the next round of funding this spring with an announcement coming likely in the early winter. We also host a Love Your Block grant, which is a mini grant of about $500 that we give to resident and neighborhood-led groups for neighborhood beautification projects. We also help you partner with city organizations on those projects, so that can really have a big range of what you want to do, from planting trees, cleaning up the street, anything that your neighborhood group or resident-led group is interested in. And lastly, this is not a funding opportunity, but we are hosting a 3-part training series for nonprofits and CBOs this winter. In late January, we're hosting a 3-part series for assessing community needs, recruiting volunteers, and then managing those volunteers. So we'll open registration for that in January. And then for a cohort of 10 different organizations that attend the training series, we'll be offering a free 3-month consultation program through our office. I'll stick around if anyone has any questions, but if not, you can visit our website, which is nyc.gov/service. Thanks.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Antonia Bramble from Brooklyn Public Library, and will be followed by Samantha Bernadine from the Flatbush African Burial Ground excuse me,
Good evening, everyone.
Coalition.
Greetings from Brooklyn Public Library. Brooklyn Public Library strategic plan titled Finding Level Ground has been published. There are 4 strategic priorities: community connection, which is reestablishing neighborhood relationship, partnership and programming after more than 2 years of disruptions; digital inclusion, breaking down barriers to internet-based resources, tools and services; anti-oppression, creating a culture of anti-racism and anti-bias in all Brooklyn Public Library locations and neighborhoods; staff supports, ensuring our staff have the tools, training and support they need to thrive. Each of these priorities contain 3 to 4 concrete objectives that will be tracking over the next couple of years. The plan also contains information about many high-profile initiatives currently underway. Please take time to read through it on our website, which is brooklynpubliclibrary.org/strategic plan hashtag. Again, brooklynpubliclibrary.org/strategic plan hashtag. Also, Brooklyn Public Library will be having a winter book sale at the Central Library, Grand Army Plaza on December 10th. We are accepting book donation until December 9th in Central Library's Grand Lobby during open hours. Your contribution will help support BPL's collections and programs. There will be a huge collection of books and movies available in all genres and for all ages. Please bring your own bag. Materials are $2 each. Only cash is accepted. You can also ring the call center at 718-230-2100 for more information. Again, 718-230-2100 for more information. And the last thing, anyone who are preparing for the U.S. citizenship can do so at Brooklyn Public Library. Brooklyn Public Library offers a range of services, resources, and programming for those preparing to become United States citizens. Citizenship classes, prep groups, and legal services are not meeting in person until further notice. However, we are offering citizenship classes online. Classes meet 3 hours per week and are taught by experienced instructors. Please call 718-230-2007. Again, 718-230-2007 for more information. Also, Brooklyn Public Library wishes everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Samantha Bernadine from the Flatbush African Borough Ground Coalition and will be followed by Daniel Harida.
Good evening. Oh, I don't need to talk that loud. Sorry, I put my teacher's voice on. Good evening to the board, all its members. It is very unusual to be here in person since we've been doing virtual for so long. I did ask my original questions, but just in reading your fiscal report, I just wanted to get clarification in regards to the preliminary work based on the item number 1 of your capital report, where it says funding has been identified for what seems to be preliminary work, but according to, and this can be just my interpretation, by the chairs of the committee's report, it seems as though that the plans have already been established. So I just wanted some clarity in regards to what preliminary work entails, as well as on behalf of the coalition, we would really like to work in conjunction with Community Board 14, as well as Community Board 17. We want to work together so that we truly do make this a complete community engagement and input, especially from the descendant community, is completely involved. And District Campbell, you and I have been on the original task force, and so you already know how I feel about certain things, but we really want to make sure that the community, especially Brooklyn as a whole, understands and recognizes the importance of the descendant community and how involved we are, and that our voices are truly heard and respected. And within my 3 minutes of time, I want to switch gears. As a teacher of one of the schools at Erasmus campus, one of the initiatives that we are working on
with the mayor's office and the Department of Education is there is a career development initiative where we will want to have our young people engage in different careers, and we would like the assistance of the community board to find out other careers within the neighborhood that we can expose our young people to, so that the economic involvement and economic development stays within the community. So I just wanted to bring that up and that we can talk offline in reference to that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Danielle Herida. Will be followed by Eileen Mullaney Newman from Borough President Antonio Reynoso's office.
Good evening, all. My name is Daniel Heredia. I'm from Councilmember Farrah Lewis's office, who had an opportunity to speak earlier this evening. I thank the board for having this wonderful venue and always being coordinated with all the efforts to get the community out here. Also would like to highlight that she was able to speak early on, as that's always a priority for us to engage with all parts of our district. So in terms of the community outreach side, I just want to highlight a couple things that we have done in the past couple weeks. So I have been at the past couple of 70th Precinct Community Council meetings, which I know some of you frequent. Definitely we've been seeing a lot more improvement in terms of the activities in front of the shelters in our district and in terms of the other quality of life issues that we are seeing east of Flatbush Avenue. But we are very happy to see that the crime trends are improving, and that's of course in partnership with all of our community organizations who are working with the youth and the partners in the district as well. Something else that I want to mention is that right now, in the current theme of trying to support the community, we're hosting a toy drive right now. That's aimed to do donations for a lot of the people who cannot afford toys this Christmas and want to support the community by doing some donations later on in December. So I left some flyers out on the table on your way out. Please take one to see if you can contribute to either clothing, toys, or other donations that can be made for some of the youth in the district. That would be really appreciated. And I just want to again thank you for the opportunity to speak. Hopefully in the future we can communicate some more. I know Sean Campbell especially, we were communicating last week at the 70th Precinct Community Council meeting about working some of the issues regarding the bike lane proposal. We're going to be continuing to work on these projects as we go along this month. So thank you again for the opportunity to speak, and have a wonderful evening.
You know where to find me.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Eileen Mullaney Newman from Borough President Antonio Reynoso's office, and will be followed by Florencia Chang Ajeda.
Good evening, everyone, and let me also say it's really nice to see everyone in person again. I may not remember who everybody is so at this point because it's been a long time, but I'm sure you'll refresh my memory if we come face to face, and please do. I just wanted to follow up on the committee's report, talking about maternal health in Brooklyn. Borough President Reynoso, I don't know if you're aware, it did come out in the summer that he did put $45 million of his capital budget into 3 public hospitals in an effort to reduce maternal health fatalities, Black maternal health fatalities. In that vein also, in November, we participated in handing out 500 born in Brooklyn baby boxes to new parents, and that was in partnership with the Met Council and a grant that they received. One of the other things we're back to doing is our weekly constituent walk-ins. They're going to be open every Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Borough Hall, and every Thursday a representative from Constituent Services will be available at the Brooklyn Central Public Library. That's all I have for now. Again, have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Florencia Chang Ajeda.
Hello again. I just wanted to let you know that on the 22nd, the same day that we're having our community safety meeting, we'll be, New Hat, as part of the 70th Precinct Interfaith Clergy Council. We'll be joining with our partners from Community Affairs at the 70 Precinct. Mr. Shahid Khan, he's the first vice of the 70th PICC, and I see Corazon, who also comes out to support, and Chairperson Brown. We have been joining efforts with CAMBA, Eileen Riley, Lauren Collins, and Ann Suffrage from ACT, and Al and Reverend Shannon from Drum, Cure Violence Group. Because I'm not sure if you're aware, but we've had some shootings in the northern part of our communities. So we have gone out, I've been out there, Officer Joseph could tell you, we've gone out to shooting responses, and so we've joined together to give out fresh produce and literature from, and also job from, we've just been doing all we can, and we've seen improvements. So we'll be giving out fresh produce on the 22nd. We will be on Regent's Place. So if you know anyone who needs good food, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, so we'll be out there. And also Councilmember Rita Joseph, how could I forget? And of course, Community Board 14, Sean. We've all joined together to do this. So, if you know of anyone who needs, we know we're having a food desert. I don't know if you've heard, Stop and Shop will be closing soon. And so, please support. Thank you.
Florencia, or maybe Officer Joseph, there's also a blood drive at the 70th Police Precinct this month. Do you have those details, or Michael? You did? I didn't hear you.
So for the record, it's November 28th. Where would it be? And the blood drive will be at the 70th Precinct on Lawrence Avenue. Thank you very much for that announcement.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Joe Duet, for already.
The next speaker will be Joelle Ducevay from Councilmember Joseph's office, and followed by Judith Destin from DA Gonzalez's office.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you in person. Wow. My name is Joelle Ducevay, and I'm here on behalf of Councilmember Joseph. I will be very quick. First and foremost, the member had her first bill passed. It is a bill related to public bathroom. So that bill will help to bring public bathroom in every zip code in New York City. Personally, it's a good bill for me because I know when it's cold, it is so difficult to find a bathroom, and sometimes businesses, they always say, hey, you need to buy something to let you use the bathroom. Second of all, the member joined Ellen Keller International to celebrate their 1 millionth screen. They were able to screen a few students at the Erasmus Academy. Another event with the Citizenship Now and SUNY Downstate, the member will provide assistance to immigrants who want to reapply for TPS, because we know that USCIS just extended the program for 2024. So we are waiting for everyone. If you know someone who have TPS and then want to apply, please remind them of that information. It will be on November 18 from 1 to 3 p.m. Last but not least, happy Thanksgiving for everyone who celebrates Thanksgiving. So the member will do a Thanksgiving giveaway with Assembly Member Cunningham on November 19. It will be at PS 221, 791 Empire Boulevard. And last but not least, it's about PB, participatory budgeting. So we received a number of ideas, and today was the day to submit them to the agencies, and we were able to do that. I was not able to be there earlier because I was at the office, but still I was online to follow the meeting, and I heard when Dwayne was talking about greenery, because we need more green space in the district, and I was very happy to see people submit so many ideas related to plant new trees, street trees, and tree guards. So get ready, because you will have a lot of tree guards and trees in the district. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And our last speaker tonight will be Judith Destin from DA Eric Gonzalez's office.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Judith Destin, and I'm with DA Gonzalez's office. And I just want to say, be brief, because I know I only have 3 minutes. The DA is having a home and tenants resource fair. Home and tenants resource fair is happening Tuesday, November 15th, which is tomorrow, at Restoration Plaza in the Sunlight Gallery, and in partnership with Bridge Street Development and NHS Brooklyn and Brooklyn Neighborhood Services and a host of different people. There's some flyers in the back, and I want also to say whoever needs any services or quality of life issues can contact the office at our Booking Action Center, and the number is 718-250-2000. It will be directed to the DA's Action Center. And if you need any assistance from me, we can meet offline, and you can let me know what's going on, and I will direct you to where it needs to be directed. Thank you all, and from the DA, happy Thanksgiving, and any holidays anyone's serving. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. This concludes our public comment period. Before I ask for a motion to adjourn, I just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving if you're celebrating, or if you're spending time with family giving thanks. Well, congratulations to us. We did it, our first in-person meeting. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion. Seconded. All right, we've adjourned at 8:25 p.m.
Oh, okay.